Hi there guys, it's just Pip here from pipweekly.com. I hope you're doing really well, and this is just another quick video. So what do you do when you want to quit your job or your family says you shouldn't, or vice versa? First of all, just to tell you a bit about me. So I've quit several jobs in my life for many different reasons. But one I quit in February 2019, and this was a job I really liked, or rather it was in a place that I really, really liked. And it took me a long time to get to the decision of leaving, and that was for several reasons. So first of all, I didn't have anywhere else to go. I didn't know what my strengths were. I don't have a university degree, which seems to be the thing that everybody's looking for. And really, I didn't know where I wanted to be or what I wanted to work as, so that was a problem. Second of all, as I say, I was really attached to the place. I kind of felt very lucky to have a job there. It was a beautiful garden, a National Trust garden, for those of you who have been following me and know my story. And it's got some really incredible people there. I was so attached to them because really, in the area that I'm in right now, I didn't have any other people that I could really say I had connections with. When I went home, I had no local friends. My nearest point of contact really was at least 60 miles away, back in England, and I tried to join a few clubs and that, and it hadn't worked out. So there was other reasons as well. As I say, I did feel quite lucky to be where I am. I was trying to think of all the good things, but slowly over time, even though I was trying to stay positive, I noticed myself getting more and more frustrated. I couldn't really move up the levels. There didn't seem anywhere for me to go. The people who could have, and maybe the trust should have had definitely a wider policy. I think so, because there was obviously more things that I wanted to do and more things that I could have done to help the trust. But that's by the by, and that's the way it is sometimes. So why am I telling you this? So the position I was in at the time was, I was kind of looking for other people for advice, and one of the people I really used to look to was my mum, because my mum's in a very good job, and she didn't have a very salubrious upbringing. She was one of 6 kids in a 3-bed house. So really 8 people in a 3-bed house. Her own mum, so my grandma, couldn't work, so she ended up raising her 2 younger brothers. They didn't have that much between them. She said she couldn't remember things like people taunting her because she wore clothes from her sister who was 10 years older than her, and kind of really horrible stories, which made me feel really quite sad. But she's made good, and she went to university and she's got a really good job, and she bought her dream home, and let her kids live in it, so let us live in it. And so I really kind of respect that. And I was kind of getting lots of advice, but I think my mum wanted me to move in directions that I wasn't happy to move in. So I did want to move, and not in that direction. I felt pressure from my siblings as well, and from other people. And yet at the time I was kind of saying to myself, well, you should be happy, and I wasn't. So here's the thing, your family wants what's best for you more often than not. At the end of the day, your job has got to be something, A, that pays the bills. Please excuse that was just my phone. And B, makes you happy. Now, it is important to be happy, and I know we put it second to money, and I know I put it second to money, but it is important to be happy, because at the end of the day, you're not only spending money, you're spending time. Now, you can always get more money. Now, I know what it's like to feel like you haven't got anything. Remember, guys, when I moved to Wales, we lived in a flat that was freezing cold, where we frequently used to run out of heating. I moved in January, and I slept on the floor and lived out of a suitcase in a box for about 2 months. So I know what that's like. We didn't have a TV, we didn't have a sofa. We had the bare minimals really. So I know what it's like not to have money, and I know what it's like to feel like you can't afford things as well. I've had jobs which have left me feeling like I earn less than everyone else, and I can't compete with siblings and that, and they kind of look down on me. So your family do want what's best for you, but it's got to be the right decision for you. So I mean, what I did was, and if you know this, like you write out the pros and cons on a piece of paper, and then you list them 1 to 5. And the reason I say that is because some things you might find might be temporary, and some things might be long term, and some things are more severe than others. So one thing might really bother you, and another thing might not be so bad. So you might be thinking of leaving your job because at the moment the office is really unhappy, but then when you look on the list you realise that actually most of the time the office is happy, but you're just going through a blip right now because there's a lot of changes going on, or something similar to that. Then again, you might find that actually something that is bothering you has been going on for a long time and it's actually getting worse. So I would encourage you to do that. At the end of the day, I would say definitely plan. I went on to do an eBay business which was selling clothes and didn't work out for me. Make sure you've got several plans in place, and I mean a rock solid concrete plan. At the end of the day, this is your life. There is going to be a bit of risk. My advice would be make sure you've got a job to go to. I tried to do that, but it was a business, and as I say, it fell through, and I then had a problem looking for a job. I did find one, obviously, but it took me a while to get back to stability. So that's my advice from today, and I hope that's helped. If you need any more advice, or you want to start your own business like me, which has given me actually a future, and has given me lots of skills, including doing this YouTube channel, which I would have never done before because I am so introverted and so shy, then obviously contact me in the comments below and let me know, or just subscribe. We do about 2 videos every week at the moment. Just trying to really help people move towards feeling a lot better about themselves and feeling happier, and finding out what they do want and then moving them towards that. Trying to getting people to actually take the action, and how do you break down the gap between where you are and when you know what you want, what that is. So trying to bridge that gap for you guys. So I hope that's helped, and I'll see you next time. You take care. Bye bye now.